Not too long ago, I posted a video talking about how it's just awful to be in bigger fan bases at the moment and the nightmare that is getting tickets for bigger artists. And in that video, I addressed the argument of just go see smaller artists. And while I don't think that is a fix to the situation, I did say in that video that smaller artists can be more fun to see than the bigger artists. And I figured that statement alone needed a video. So today we're going to talk about why you should go to smaller venue shows. And before we get into this is not me saying that you should never go to a big concert. The big headliners, the big shows can also be really, really fun, but my personal preference is the small town shows. Both of them have their pros and cons, but I think the pros of small shows are a little bit better than the big shows. But again, concerts are concerts, live music is live music, and both of them are fun. And I'm not saying that one is objectively better than the other. These are just opinions and to shed some light on some ideas that maybe not a lot of people know about. Speaking of something that not a lot of people know about, because you guys let my YouTube shorts flop all the time, is that I'm a musician myself. I can kind of play bass and guitar, but my main instrument is definitely drums. I've been playing drums since I was 17 years old, and I'm 23 right now. And that is the instrument that I found love with, and that's the instrument I play when I play gigs and I join bands. And so I know what it's like to be that little guy on a little stage begging people to show up for you. And I'm also friends with a lot of smaller musicians. All the more reason for me to make this video, right? But even if I wasn't a musician, I would still be advocating for these smaller venue shows because I am a fangirl. I know that it's super awesome when you can get into a band and they have a sense of community, and you can't get any more community-like than a small band. Even just beyond fangirls, I think it's just an innate desire to connect with people through art, and that's one of the reasons why we love music so much, and you can absolutely get that personal connection with small artists. I will say, as far as online goes, they are super easy to get interactions from because they are a small band. Literally just tag them and they will 9 times out of 10 probably see it, which is super cool if you're really into the band. I've actually done this a couple times with my drum covers where I've tagged like the Velveteers or Lunar Vacation and they actually see it, and that's just a super cool takeaway, right? Like, you did something cool for this band and they actually saw it, and that's neat. But also the interactions you get at the actual show, okay? If you're going to go watch a small band, there is a really good chance that you will probably get to meet them, or at the very least be super close to them, because these are small venues. If you're in like a small room, pretty much anywhere is going to be really, really close. But small bands aren't famous, okay? Which means that they can still live as normal people even after the show. So if there's an opener that you particularly like at a small show, pay attention to the crowd after they leave, because once again, 9 times out of 10, they'll probably just be floating around the venue and you can actually talk to this person and meet them. And even like the big names at these shows will hang out after the show, and that again is a chance to get to talk to them and talk about how amazing their art is and actually get a connection with them. Considering that the bigger artists often pay for meet and greets and it's just impossible to run into them as easily, it is certainly a benefit to have that access to a smaller artist. It's also a benefit that you don't have to camp out for them. Camping culture has gotten crazy lately, certainly with 21 Pilot fans who are camping out 9 days for Clancy Tour, but I fear it's becoming like an ongoing problem and everyone's just camping more and more recently, but that's for the big artists. When it comes to small bands, you don't need to camp at all. As I said before, if you're in a small venue, even if you're way in the back, that's still super close. Smaller shows, you can show up like 5 minutes before and get barricade, which is super awesome. It's awesome for the people like me who just don't want to camp and don't have the means to camp. It's super awesome for the people who actually have jobs and lives to where they don't have to settle for a bad spot in the pit just because they can't camp out for a really long time. I also want to talk about just how important small shows have been to me just as a musician myself. And let me just say again, I do love the big shows. Just a quick rundown on me if you haven't guessed it, and I've said it numerous times on this channel, but I actually started playing the drums because of Josh Dun. I went to a big concert and I saw the drummer and he just looked like he was having the time of his life, and it was so fun to watch him that I was like, I need to play the drums, and that's what I did. So absolutely, big concerts can be inspiring, but nothing inspires me more than a small town show, because they just really give you the raw bones of it all. You know, often with these bigger shows, everything's polished, everything's clean, you know, you have all of these little roadies that do everything for you. So the audience doesn't really get to see the effort that goes into putting on a show. And this is not me dissing the road crew, okay? It takes a lot of work and a lot of people to put on these bigger shows, but I think because it is so big, we often feel like that is out of our grasp as a smaller musician. Like, of course, every musician wants to be famous and go on world tours, but that just seems so out of our reach. But a smaller show, that's doable. We can do that. That seems real. That seems like something that we could actually do, and in my opinion, makes me more inspired to make music. Oftentimes with small shows, you can see the artists themselves doing sound check and setting everything up. You can really see how these concerts are made. It's something that a small artist can look at and actually picture themselves doing rather than a big world tour. But small town shows are also wonderful for networking. As I mentioned before, everyone on stage at a small show you could probably meet after the show or during, depending on when they played. Which means if you are a musician, you can talk to them. In my case, because I'm a drummer, it can be like, hey, if you ever need a drummer, here's my name, check me out. And even if you don't play for that specific person, networking is so incredibly important, because if you actually build some form of relationship with this person and they know that you're into music and they know if you play a specific instrument, if they're ever in a situation, for example, if they know somebody who needs a drummer and they know me, guess who they're going to recommend? Probably me, hopefully me. Music, as with everything, is just networking and who you know. And small town shows, if you are a musician, is great for networking and getting to know these people. I think it's also like the birthplace of bands. I mean, the old school way of forming a band was just finding people that have similar interests as you, and you're just sitting around and you're like, hey, we should start a band. Just that genuine human to human connection. And I think that's kind of getting lost on us recently. I know a lot of the times, me specifically, a lot of what I do is online. So there's a musician who will come to me and be like, hey, I want drums on this song. Or there's even a band that's like, oh, I saw you online, do you want to join this band? It's very online based, of course, because everything is today. But I would love to be in a situation where I just find people organically and start a band that way. And I think the way to do it is with a small town show. That being said, if anyone needs a drummer, let me know. If anyone has a song that needs drums, let me know. I can record them for you. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe to join the Groovy Graveyard, and I will see you in the next one.